To address the Big Ideas Platform 2023 is Ijeoma Akwiwu. In 2021, Ijeoma Akwiwu and Nkiru Amadiamina decided to start PIVO Africa, a fintech company for supply chain industry players in Africa. In 2 years, they have raised over $2 million, backed up by notable players in the tech industry, such as Google and Y Combinator. They are the first all-female-led startup from Nigeria accepted into the Accelerator program and continue to raise the bar of service and access for the African continent. Before PIVO, she studied law at the Lagos State University and has spent over a decade practicing as a lawyer and a chartered arbitrator in Nigeria and the United Kingdom. With core skills in alternative dispute resolution, litigation management, corporate law and government, and regulatory compliance. She has done a lot of work with early and growth stages tech startups, which led her to get a master's degree in software development with a distinction from the University of Glasgow. Her experiences show her passion for learning and doing more for businesses in Africa and exploring the endless possibilities at the intersection of law, business, and technology. To better excel at this, she is currently learning in the University of Oxford's Strategic Management Executive Program on Leadership, Finance, and Strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Big Ideas Platform 2023, Ijeoma Akwiwu.
So good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be a speaker at this event. I must comment that this is a full circle moment for me. In 2015, I was part of a think tank such as this one, and the subsequent discussions that happened, it literally changed the trajectory of my career because I clearly saw how I could be as versatile as technology. A special shout out to Amara Wakba of the Yaradua Foundation for being a catalyst then. It's no surprise that they're an official partner here. I can assure that the big ideas that we all have to present will definitely ignite our thoughts, broaden our knowledge, and show us new ways of building the Africa we truly desire. So what's my big idea today? It's all about building end-to-end financial operating systems for Africa's supply chain. I'm certain that sounds complex, but I shall simplify for our collective understanding. The easiest definition of a supply chain is an interconnected journey that raw materials, components, and goods take before their assembly and sale to customers. In the African context, it's all about ensuring this supply chain does not break locally in any country and across the various borders. So essentially, our cotton, metals, fruits, or other raw materials we can identify that need to be refined to a final form for consumption by the end user needs to happen. So now that we have the basic understanding of the fundamentals, why is this big idea so important and why now? I wanted to ask if anyone in the audience could help share the answer. You can put it in the comments, but for time, I'll go ahead. My primary answer is COVID or any other force majeure that has the potential to ground global and local economies. For me and others in my generation and the ones after, COVID was our first-hand experience of a global pandemic and basically witnessing the severe impact it had on people and businesses. According to a policy brief published by the International Growth Center in May 2020, with the containment measures, 9.1% of the population in sub-Saharan Africa immediately fell into extreme poverty as a result of COVID-19, with about 65% of that increase resulting from the lockdown. Putting this into perspective, in 2020, Africa's population, according to Statista, was about 1.34 billion people. So 118.3 million people immediately became extremely poor overnight. Nigeria's population then was about 206 million people. So again, in perspective, over 50% of the populace became extremely poor alone in Nigeria. At the end of an 8-week lockdown, close to 20% of the population could no longer afford their pre-COVID consumption. Again, putting this into perspective, 260 million people could no longer afford what they usually could before the pandemic. Now imagine the impact this had on businesses on both the supply and the demand sides. The micro, small, and medium-sized businesses who are literally the drivers of any economy, the rings that keep any supply chain running, were instantly broken, leading to shortages of parts and immediate goods. On the supply side, companies experienced a reduction in the supply of labor. On the demand side, a dramatic and sudden loss of demand and revenue. From the picture here on this slide, which I created from the special reports on the economic impact of COVID-19 on micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises in Africa and policy options for mitigation, published by the COMESA Monetary Institute in August 2020. We can see the various challenges all these businesses faced, ranging from lack of operational cash, to the business shutting down, to drop in demands for products and services. And one can immediately understand how continuity and implementing a financial recovery plan was priority for most of them. But you can also see from the images, large companies had 99 other problems, but money was not one. However, what can we see as a common challenge across all these businesses? The opportunity to meet customers. As we all say, customers are indeed king and always right. Without them, what exactly are we doing? These micro and small, medium-sized enterprises that are instrumental in maintaining the smooth running of the large companies' supply chains were financially suffering, but there was money trapped in the large companies. In here was the aha moment on why there was and there's still a need to build end-to-end financial operating systems locally and for Africa's supply chains. Working capital accounted for the largest share of financial support requested from commercial banks by majority of these businesses, who did not receive any positive response to their requests for financial support. Furthermore, every business was prioritizing their own internal operations over external obligations. The commercial banks were mainly prioritizing the large companies, and other financial institutions were offering credit facilities at ridiculously high rates. Not a pleasant situation, you must agree. So now, with adequate context on how problematic this situation is, I hope it's now understandable why my big idea is crucial. So how do we go about actualizing this big idea? It means building the infrastructure or rails that will control the flow of money from the large companies who are the owners of the various ecosystems, the various sectors that they play in, to the small and medium-sized businesses that hold those chains together. And this is made possible through embedded finance, through integration with whatever enterprise resource planning tool a business uses, if at all they use any. But not to worry, that's why we're here, to help build it. We can easily deploy our financial services directly into their own products and services via an application programming interface. We are charting new ways to unlock financing opportunities within the continent. From the click of a button, companies can easily access a variety of bespoke financial products and services for their own businesses and their own needs, and the network of SMEs that support their own ecosystem. The onus is now on modern-day business owners to step up and care more about the survival and sustainability of their supply chains. They fully understand the negative impact of having to source for and replace trusted vendors and suppliers who all of a sudden lack the capacity to serve them. For us, we need access to these ecosystems that can effectively deploy their capital to change the landscape and start building for the long term. We proactively need to start establishing resilient financial operating systems beyond the current traditional ones that is immediately ready to minimize any disruption caused by unforeseen circumstances such as a pandemic. In all of this, startups, specifically fintechs, such as my company, that's leveraging technology to propel supply chain financing across Africa, are essential and well-positioned to swiftly build and connect these financial operating systems, from bank accounts to digital wallets, to cash management tools, to credit facilities, you name it. African businesses do not need to be a bank now to have their personalized financial operating systems or experience. They will no longer be limited to the bureaucratic style of financial services that traditional banks have been given. They will experience the true meaning of being in control of their money. On a continental level, it's worth mentioning that the efforts made by the Pan-African Payments and Settlement System, PAPS, a cross-border financial market infrastructure enabling payment transactions across Africa, came at the right time. Coupled with the abundant opportunities presented by the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which seeks to reduce trade barriers between the different pillars of the African economic community. Seamless integration with these innovative socio-economic solutions, aggressive implementation, and rapid scaling will enable Africa to unlock the full potential of its supply chains and enjoy real democracy in her business activities. Just imagine a business with spare cash all the way in Ivory Coast being able to float a company in Nigeria, for example, and vice versa, without the barriers of our current financial rails. The possibilities are endless. On a final note, I know it's easier said than done, but with strategy, which includes due consideration of Africa's broader environment and changes, that is, the economic volatility, we're experiencing one now in Nigeria, the unexpected political events and elections also being experienced in Nigeria, natural disasters and disruptive innovations, a proper alignment of our purposes, one of which is democratizing financial access, alignment with the players, having their collective buy-ins, partnerships and processes, which are spearheaded and driven by various stakeholders and collaboration with other businesses. This should be our focus, to focus on the 4 Ps. We shall then begin the journey of thinking and building strong end-to-end financial solutions for the longest term. We must agree on the fact that if we wish to thrive in this complex contemporary world, we need to re-strategize and start taking innovative approaches to get the Africa we always imagined. I appreciate everyone's attention and look forward to further discussions with other panel members. Thank you all very much.